The encounter. Tara Lawson moved through the corridors of the hospital with the ease of someone who had spent countless hours in its maze-like structure. Today, she was filling in for a colleague on leave, donning the simple scrubs of a nurse. The uniform, though unassuming, symbolized her deep connection to every level of the hospital. While many of her colleagues were aware of her status as the medical director, Tara preferred to blend in, showing solidarity with the team and staying grounded. It was mid-morning when Tara's day took a turn she hadn't anticipated. She was attending to a particularly demanding patient when she overheard a loud and irate voice echoing down the hallway. It belonged to Dr. Samuel Hughes, a man whose reputation preceded him. Dr. Hughes was in the middle of an intense argument with one of the nurses, a young woman named Jessica who was relatively new to the team. Tara could hear the frustration in his tone, his words cutting through the air like a blade. Jessica, red-faced and visibly distressed, stood her ground though her voice quivered with each word. Dr. Hughes, I've already explained the patient's situation to you, and we're following the procedure as directed. If you have concerns, perhaps we should review the notes together. Dr. Hughes, however, was having none of it. His face was contorted with anger as he barked back, "This is how it should be done. Your notes are irrelevant. I expect my orders to be followed without question. This is a matter of patient care, and I won't tolerate any more incompetence." The confrontation was escalating, and Tara's presence didn't go unnoticed. She walked over to the scene, her footsteps measured and deliberate. She took a deep breath, knowing that stepping in would involve more than just mediating a dispute. It was a matter of addressing the underlying attitudes that perpetuated such conflicts. As Tara approached, Dr. Hughes finally noticed her. His face momentarily shifted from anger to surprise. "Dr. Lawson," he said, his tone softening slightly. "I didn't realize you were here. I'm dealing with a situation that requires immediate correction." Tara offered a calm, composed smile. "Dr. Hughes, I understand that there are concerns, but raising your voice and dismissing the contributions of our team isn't productive. Let's review the situation together and find a solution." Dr. Hughes' eyes narrowed. He clearly didn't appreciate being addressed in such a manner, particularly in front of his subordinates. "With all due respect, Dr. Lawson, I've been handling such cases for years. I don't see why we need to go through a formal review process." Tara's smile remained, though her eyes held a steely resolve. "Respect is a two-way street, Dr. Hughes. We're all here to provide the best care for our patients. If you have concerns, we should address them collaboratively. It's important that we support each other rather than creating an environment of fear and resentment." Dr. Hughes' expression hardened, but he begrudgingly nodded. "Fine, let's discuss this in my office." Jessica, still visibly shaken, looked at Tara with a mixture of relief and gratitude. Tara placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Thank you for your patience, Jessica. I'll handle this." Once Dr. Hughes had stormed off toward his office, Tara turned to Jessica. "Take a few moments to collect yourself. I'll make sure we address this situation properly." As Jessica nodded and walked away, Tara took a deep breath. The situation was a microcosm of the broader issues she faced in her role. Dr. Hughes was a symptom of a larger problem, a culture that needed transformation, one that she was committed to changing despite the obstacles. Tara made her way to Dr. Hughes' office, her mind racing with thoughts about how best to address the situation. The office was an imposing space, adorned with accolades and certificates that spoke to Dr. Hughes' accomplishments but did little to hint at his attitude toward his colleagues. Tara entered the room and took a seat across from him. Dr. Hughes' demeanor was one of barely restrained irritation. "Dr. Lawson, I don't see why this is such a big deal. The patient's care is paramount, and I was simply trying to ensure it was up to standard." Tara's voice was steady but firm. "Dr. Hughes, it's not just about the immediate situation. It's about fostering a collaborative and respectful environment. The way you addressed Jessica and the tone you used were counterproductive and unprofessional. We need to work together to build a positive atmosphere for everyone." Dr. Hughes shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "I understand your point, but this is how I've always done things. I don't believe in coddling people. I expect excellence, and I expect it now." Tara leaned forward slightly, her gaze unflinching. "Expecting excellence is important, but it's also crucial to recognize and value the contributions of every team member. Your approach might get results, but it's also driving a wedge between you and the staff. We're a team, and a team functions best when everyone is respected and valued." The conversation was tense, and Tara knew it was just the beginning of a much larger dialogue that needed to take place. Dr. Hughes' resistance to change was indicative of the larger cultural issues within the hospital, but Tara was prepared to face these challenges head-on. After a lengthy discussion, Tara and Dr. Hughes agreed to a compromise. Dr. Hughes would meet with his team to address the incident and work on improving communication and mutual respect. Tara would also be involved in developing workshops on team dynamics and respect for all staff members. The resolution was just the first step. Tara knew that changing ingrained attitudes and behaviors would take time, effort, and continued commitment. The hospital's hierarchical culture was deeply entrenched, but Tara was determined to be a catalyst for change. As she walked out of Dr. Hughes' office, Tara felt a renewed sense of purpose. The confrontation had been difficult, but it had also reaffirmed her commitment to creating a more inclusive and respectful environment. The path ahead would be challenging, but Tara was ready to lead the way, using her experience and dedication to drive positive change in the hospital and beyond. Shifting the culture, the days following the confrontation with Dr. Hughes were filled with a mix of tension and anticipation. Tara Lawson's commitment to fostering a respectful and collaborative environment at the hospital was unwavering, but she knew that the path to cultural change was fraught with challenges. The encounter with Dr. Hughes was just one small part of a much larger issue that needed addressing. The hospital's administration, aware of the growing discontent among the staff, supported Tara's efforts to initiate broader changes. They agreed to a proposal for workshops focused on communication, respect, and teamwork. Tara was tasked with organizing and facilitating these sessions, a responsibility she embraced with both enthusiasm and caution. The first workshop was scheduled for the following week. Tara prepared meticulously, ensuring that the content would be engaging and relevant. She reached out to a variety of experts in organizational behavior, communication, and diversity to contribute to the workshops. The goal was to create a program that would not only address immediate concerns but also foster long-term cultural transformation. On the day of the workshop, Tara arrived early to set up the room. She arranged the chairs in a circle to promote openness and collaboration and set up a projector for the presentations. As participants began to arrive, Tara greeted them with a warm smile and engaged in casual conversations to set a positive tone. Dr. Hughes arrived with a noticeable air of reluctance. He was visibly uncomfortable, perhaps unsure of what to expect. Tara approached him with a friendly demeanor. "Thank you for attending, Dr. Hughes. I appreciate your willingness to be part of this effort. It's an important step toward building a stronger team." Dr. Hughes gave a curt nod and took his seat, his expression betraying his skepticism. Tara understood that changing deeply ingrained attitudes would take time, but she remained optimistic. She knew that the workshop was an opportunity to plant seeds of change and that persistence would be key. The session began with a presentation by Dr. Emily Carter, an expert in organizational behavior. Dr. Carter's approach was interactive and engaging, using real-life scenarios and role-playing exercises to illustrate key points. She emphasized the importance of empathy, active listening, and constructive feedback. Her presentation was designed to challenge participants to rethink their attitudes and behaviors and to encourage a culture of mutual respect. Throughout the workshop, Tara observed the reactions of the participants. There was a mix of enthusiasm, skepticism, and resistance. Some staff members were eager to engage, sharing their experiences and participating actively in the exercises. Others, like Dr. Hughes, appeared guarded and reluctant to fully commit. One particularly impactful exercise involved role-playing a difficult conversation between a doctor and a nurse. Participants were asked to take on different roles and navigate the conversation using the principles discussed earlier. Tara participated in the exercise, taking on the role of a nurse who needed to address a concern with a doctor. The exercise was eye-opening for many participants. The role-playing highlighted the power dynamics and communication barriers that often existed between doctors and nurses. It also demonstrated how empathy and respect could transform these interactions. Tara's participation added a layer of authenticity to the exercise, and her colleagues could see firsthand the challenges she faced and the ways she navigated them. As the workshop progressed, Tara noticed a subtle shift in the atmosphere. Dr. Hughes, though still reserved, appeared to be more engaged. He participated in discussions and contributed to group activities, albeit cautiously. Tara hoped this was a sign of progress and was determined to build on this momentum. After the workshop, Tara and her team gathered feedback from the participants. The responses were mixed, with some expressing appreciation for the insights and others questioning the effectiveness of the exercises. Tara reviewed the feedback carefully, noting areas for improvement and planning additional sessions to address specific concerns. In the weeks that followed, Tara continued to work on fostering a positive culture within the hospital. She implemented regular check-ins with staff to discuss their experiences and address any ongoing issues. She also encouraged open dialogue and provided resources for conflict resolution and professional development. One of the key initiatives was the creation of a mentorship program. Tara believed that fostering strong relationships between experienced staff and newer employees could help bridge gaps in understanding and build a supportive network. The program paired mentors and mentees based on their roles and areas of expertise, with a focus on enhancing communication and collaboration. The mentorship program was well received, and Tara saw tangible results. Newer staff members felt more supported, and experienced employees had the opportunity to share their knowledge and provide guidance. The program also helped to break down some of the hierarchical barriers that had previously existed. Despite these positive developments, Tara faced ongoing challenges. Resistance to change persisted, and there were occasional setbacks. Dr. Hughes, in particular, remained a point of concern. While he had shown some willingness to engage, his actions often contradicted the principles of respect and collaboration that the workshops emphasized. Tara decided to address this issue directly. She scheduled a one-on-one meeting with Dr. Hughes to discuss his progress and address any lingering concerns. The meeting was tense but productive. Tara emphasized the importance of aligning actions with the values of the hospital and encouraged Dr. Hughes to reflect on how his behavior impacted the team. Dr. Hughes admitted that he found it difficult to adapt to the new approach but expressed a willingness to try. Tara acknowledged his efforts and encouraged him to continue working on building more respectful and collaborative relationships with his colleagues. As Tara continued her work, she remained committed to her vision of a more inclusive and respectful hospital culture. She knew that change would not happen overnight, but she believed in the power of persistence and the importance of leading by example. Her dedication to fostering a positive environment was unwavering, and she was determined to see it through. The journey was far from over, but Tara was hopeful. The workshops, mentorship program, and ongoing efforts were laying the foundation for a more supportive and collaborative culture. She was encouraged by the progress she had seen and was inspired by the resilience and dedication of her colleagues. In reflecting on the challenges and successes, Tara recognized the importance of remaining steadfast in her commitment to change. She knew that the road ahead would be filled with obstacles and setbacks, but she was prepared to face them with determination and optimism. The work she was doing was not just about improving the hospital environment. It was about creating a legacy of respect and collaboration that would benefit everyone. As she looked toward the future, Tara felt a deep sense of purpose. The path to cultural transformation was complex and challenging, but she was ready to continue leading the way. With each step forward, she was building a stronger, more inclusive hospital community, and she was committed to seeing the journey through to its successful conclusion. The ripple effect. The transformation within the hospital, initiated by Tara Lawson, was beginning to show signs of progress, but the journey was far from over. Tara knew that creating lasting change required more than just workshops and programs. It needed a cultural shift that resonated through every level of the institution. The ripple effects of her efforts were starting to be felt, but there was still much work to be done. The mentorship program, which had been implemented a few weeks prior, was gaining traction. Mentors and mentees were engaging in meaningful dialogues, and early feedback indicated that many felt more supported and valued. Tara was particularly pleased to see that the program was fostering a stronger sense of community and collaboration among the staff. However, despite these positive developments, challenges persisted. Dr. Samuel Hughes remained a particularly contentious figure. Although he had shown some willingness to adapt, his behavior often undermined the values of respect and collaboration that Tara was trying to instill. His interactions with the nursing staff continued to be a source of friction. One morning, Tara received a troubling report from one of the senior nurses, Linda Carter. Linda had been a longtime staff member and was well respected for her experience and dedication. She came to Tara's office with a concerned expression. "Dr. Lawson," Linda began, "I need to talk to you about something that happened yesterday." Dr. Hughes was particularly harsh with the team, and his comments were not only unprofessional but also quite hurtful. Tara listened attentively, her expression serious. "Please go on." Linda took a deep breath. During a routine procedure, Dr. Hughes dismissed the input of several nurses and made derogatory remarks about their competence. He accused them of being lazy and incompetent, which was not only unfair but also demoralizing. Several nurses have expressed that they feel undervalued and disrespected. Tara's heart sank. She had hoped that Dr. Hughes' participation in the workshops would lead to a more respectful approach, but it seemed that the underlying issues were still present. "Thank you for bringing this to my attention, Linda. I'll address this immediately." Determined to resolve the issue, Tara scheduled a meeting with Dr. Hughes. She knew that confronting him would be challenging, but she was committed to addressing the problem head-on. The meeting was set for the following day. In the meantime, Tara also took steps to support the nursing staff. She organized an informal gathering where they could voice their concerns and offer suggestions for improvement. The meeting provided a safe space for nurses to share their experiences and discuss ways to enhance communication and collaboration. At the meeting, several nurses expressed their frustrations and shared stories of their interactions with Dr. Hughes. Tara listened carefully, acknowledging their feelings and assuring them that their concerns were being taken seriously. She also emphasized the importance of maintaining professionalism and respect even in difficult situations. The next day, Tara met with Dr. Hughes in his office. The atmosphere was tense as they began their discussion. Tara opened the conversation with a calm and assertive tone. "Dr. Hughes, I want to address some concerns that have been brought to my attention regarding your recent interactions with the nursing staff. It's crucial that we maintain a respectful and supportive environment for everyone. The behavior reported does not align with the values we're trying to promote here." Dr. Hughes's face hardened. "Dr. Lawson, I always believe in holding people accountable. If the nurses can't meet my standards, they need to improve. I don't see why this is an issue." Tara took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. Accountability is important, but it must be balanced with respect and understanding. The way we communicate with our colleagues significantly impacts their morale and productivity. Disrespectful behavior not only undermines our goals, but also erodes trust within the team. Dr. Hughes remained defiant. "I have high standards because I care about patient outcomes. If the staff can't handle constructive criticism, that's their problem." Tara's patience was tested, but she remained composed. Constructive criticism is different from derogatory remarks. It's about providing feedback in a way that encourages growth and improvement. We need to foster an environment where everyone feels valued and supported, regardless of their position. The conversation was challenging, but Tara was resolute. She reiterated the importance of aligning actions with the hospital's values and encouraged Dr. Hughes to reflect on how his behavior affected the team. She also suggested additional training and coaching to help him develop more effective communication skills. Dr. Hughes begrudgingly agreed to participate in further training, though his reluctance was evident. Tara knew that changing deeply ingrained attitudes would take time, but she was committed to seeing the process through. As the weeks went by, Tara continued to monitor the situation and support her team. She conducted regular check-ins with both the nursing staff and Dr. Hughes, providing feedback and addressing any ongoing issues. She also facilitated additional workshops focused on leadership and effective communication, with the goal of reinforcing the values of respect and collaboration. One notable success was the implementation of a new feedback system. Tara introduced a process where staff members could provide anonymous feedback on interactions with their colleagues, including doctors. The feedback was reviewed regularly and patterns of behavior were addressed promptly. The system provided a way for staff to voice their concerns without fear of retaliation, and it helped to identify areas for improvement. The feedback system proved to be a valuable tool in promoting accountability and transparency. It allowed Tara to address issues before they escalated and provided a mechanism for ongoing improvement. Staff members felt more empowered to speak up, knowing that their voices would be heard and valued. Despite these positive developments, Tara continued to face challenges. Dr. Hughes' attitude improved somewhat, but there were still occasional lapses in professionalism. Tara remained committed to providing support and guidance, and she worked closely with him to address any setbacks. One day, as Tara was leaving the hospital, she encountered Linda Carter in the hallway. Linda had a thoughtful expression on her face. "Dr. Lawson," Linda said, "I just wanted to thank you for your efforts. Things have been improving and the feedback system is really helping. It feels like we're making progress." Tara smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment. "Thank you, Linda. It's a team effort, and your support is invaluable. We're on the right track, and we'll continue to work together to create a positive environment for everyone." As Tara reflected on the progress made, she recognized that the journey was far from complete. The road to cultural transformation was ongoing, and there would be challenges along the way. However, she was encouraged by the positive changes she had witnessed and the growing sense of collaboration and respect within the hospital. Tara's commitment to fostering a supportive and inclusive environment remained unwavering. She knew that the work she was doing was not only improving the hospital, but also setting a precedent for how to navigate complex interpersonal dynamics. The ripple effect of her efforts was starting to reach every corner of the institution, and she was determined to continue driving positive change. With each step forward, Tara was building a stronger, more cohesive team. The challenges she faced were opportunities for growth and improvement, and she approached them with resilience and optimism. The journey was a testament to the power of perseverance and the impact of leading by example. As she looked toward the future, Tara remained dedicated to creating a lasting legacy of respect and collaboration, one that would benefit both her colleagues and the patients they served. The turning point. The hospital was gradually becoming a place where respect and collaboration were no longer just ideals but realities. Tara Lawson's efforts were paying off, and there was a noticeable shift in the atmosphere. Staff members were more engaged, and the once prevalent tension was giving way to a more supportive environment. However, the journey was far from over, and Tara knew that the true test of change would come when faced with unforeseen challenges. One such challenge emerged when a new high-profile patient was admitted to the hospital. The patient, Mr. Harold Sterling, was a wealthy philanthropist known for his contributions to various causes. His arrival was highly anticipated, and the hospital staff was eager to ensure that his experience would be exceptional. The case was assigned to Dr. Samuel Hughes, who saw it as an opportunity to showcase his skills and further cement his reputation. Mr. Sterling's case was complex, involving multiple specialists and a high level of coordination. Tara, aware of the importance of the case, closely monitored the situation to ensure that everything ran smoothly. She had hoped that Dr. Hughes, given his previous challenges, would approach the case with professionalism and respect for his colleagues. The day of Mr. Sterling's procedure arrived, and the hospital was abuzz with activity. Dr. Hughes, dressed in his surgical scrubs, was preparing for the operation. Tara, though not directly involved in the procedure, was present to oversee the process and provide support if needed. As the team assembled for the procedure, Tara observed Dr. Hughes interacting with the staff. To her dismay, she noticed that his behavior was once again dismissive and condescending. He barked orders at the nurses, disregarding their input and showing little appreciation for their contributions. Tara's concern grew as she saw the impact of his attitude on the team's morale. During the procedure, things took an unexpected turn. A complication arose, and the team needed to make quick decisions to address the issue. Dr. Hughes, already on edge, became increasingly agitated. His frustration was evident, and he directed his anger toward the nursing staff, blaming them for the complication. Tara could see the strain on the faces of the nurses as they worked under pressure. She knew that the situation needed to be addressed promptly to prevent further escalation. After the procedure, which ultimately concluded successfully, Tara called an emergency meeting with Dr. Hughes and the nursing staff involved. The meeting room was tense as Tara addressed the group. Dr. Hughes, sitting across from her, wore a defensive expression. The nursing staff, visibly distressed, awaited Tara's words. "Dr. Hughes, I want to address what happened today," Tara began, her tone firm yet composed. "During the procedure, there were several instances where your interactions with the nursing staff were less than respectful. I understand that the situation was stressful, but it's crucial that we maintain professionalism and support each other, especially during high-pressure situations." Dr. Hughes's face flushed with frustration. "Dr. Lawson, I was under immense pressure. The complications were unexpected, and I needed everyone to be focused and efficient. I don't see why this is such a big issue." Tara remained calm. Pressure doesn't excuse disrespect. The way we communicate with our colleagues affects not only their performance but also the overall team dynamic. We need to work together and support each other even when things don't go as planned. One of the nurses, Sarah, spoke up. "Dr. Hughes, it's not just about the procedure. It's about how we're treated day in and day out. We work hard, and we deserve to be treated with respect. It's disheartening to see our contributions dismissed so easily." The room fell silent as Tara and Dr. Hughes processed Sarah's words. Tara took a deep breath and continued. "Respect is a fundamental part of our culture here. I want to ensure that everyone feels valued and supported. We're going to have a follow-up meeting to discuss how we can improve our communication and teamwork, and I expect that we all come to this with an open mind." The meeting concluded with a sense of resolve. Dr. Hughes, though visibly uncomfortable, agreed to participate in additional training and to work on improving his interactions with the team. Tara was determined to address the issue comprehensively and to ensure that the hospital continued to move toward a culture of mutual respect. In the following days, Tara organized a series of workshops focused on managing stress and maintaining professionalism under pressure. She invited experts to speak on effective communication and conflict resolution, and she encouraged open dialogue among the staff. The workshops were well attended, and Tara saw a positive response from the team. The sessions provided valuable tools for managing difficult situations and reinforced the importance of respectful interactions. The feedback was encouraging, and many staff members expressed appreciation for the opportunity to address these issues in a constructive manner. Despite the progress, Tara knew that there was still work to be done. The challenges with Dr. Hughes highlighted the need for ongoing support and reinforcement of the hospital's values. Tara continued to monitor the situation and provided individual coaching to Dr. Hughes, focusing on developing his leadership skills and improving his communication style. One afternoon, as Tara was reviewing the feedback from the recent workshops, she received a call from Mr. Sterling's office. The patient wanted to meet with her to discuss his experience at the hospital. Tara was both apprehensive and hopeful. She saw this as an opportunity to gain valuable insights and to demonstrate the hospital's commitment to excellence. The meeting with Mr. Sterling was scheduled for the following week. Tara prepared thoroughly, reviewing Mr. Sterling's case and the feedback she had received from the staff. She wanted to ensure that the meeting would be productive and that any concerns would be addressed effectively. When the day of the meeting arrived, Tara met with Mr. Sterling in a private conference room. He was a distinguished-looking man in his late 60s with a calm and composed demeanor. Tara greeted him warmly and offered him a seat. "Mr. Sterling, thank you for meeting with me," Tara began. "I want to hear about your experience at our hospital and address any feedback or concerns you may have." Mr. Sterling nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Dr. Lawson, I appreciate your willingness to meet. I had a complex procedure, and I am grateful for the skill of the medical team. However, I noticed some issues with the way the staff interacted during my stay. I'm concerned about the impact that has on patient care. Tara listened intently as Mr. Sterling shared his observations. He spoke of instances where he had witnessed tension and unprofessional behavior among the staff, which had left him with concerns about the overall environment. I'm grateful for your feedback, Mr. Sterling, Tara said sincerely. We are committed to providing the highest level of care and to ensuring that our staff work in a respectful and supportive environment. Your observations highlight areas where we need to continue improving, and I will take your feedback seriously. The meeting with Mr. Sterling was an eye-opener for Tara. It underscored the importance of maintaining a positive and respectful atmosphere not only for the staff but also for the patients. Tara left the meeting with a renewed sense of determination to drive further improvements. Over the next few weeks, Tara continued to work on reinforcing the hospital's values and addressing any issues that arose. She organized additional training sessions and provided support to staff members who needed it. The feedback system remained a valuable tool for identifying areas of concern and ensuring that the hospital was moving in the right direction. Dr. Hughes' behavior showed some improvement, though there were still occasional setbacks. Tara remained committed to providing guidance and support, and she continued to work with him on developing his leadership skills. As Tara reflected on the progress made and the challenges faced, she felt a deep sense of accomplishment. The journey was ongoing, but the efforts to create a more respectful and collaborative environment were yielding positive results. The hospital was becoming a place where staff members felt valued and supported, and where patients received exceptional care. The turning point had been significant, and Tara was determined to build on the progress. She knew that creating lasting change required ongoing effort and dedication, but she was confident that the hospital was moving in the right direction. With each step forward, Tara was helping to shape a culture of respect and excellence, one that would benefit both the staff and the patients they served. The moment of truth, the efforts Tara Lawson had invested in transforming the hospital's culture were beginning to bear fruit. Staff morale was improving, and there was a palpable shift in the atmosphere. However, Tara knew that real change was not just about visible progress, but also about confronting underlying issues that could potentially undermine the positive momentum. One day, Tara received an unexpected visitor. It was Emily Brooks, a junior nurse who had recently joined the team. Emily was known for her enthusiasm and dedication, but she appeared anxious as she requested a private meeting with Tara. Dr. Lawson, Emily began, her voice trembling slightly. I wanted to talk to you about something that happened recently. I'm concerned about the way Dr. Hughes has been treating some of the new staff members. Tara listened intently, her concern growing. Please, tell me what happened. Emily took a deep breath and recounted a recent incident. During a staff meeting last week, Dr. Hughes criticized the new nurses in front of everyone. He made some harsh remarks about their performance and said that they were not meeting his expectations. The way he spoke was really demoralizing, and several of the new nurses have been feeling discouraged ever since. Tara's heart sank. She had hoped that Dr. Hughes would continue to improve, but it seemed that the issues were resurfacing. I appreciate you bringing this to my attention, Emily. It's important that we address these concerns promptly. I'll speak with Dr. Hughes about this. Tara scheduled another meeting with Dr. Hughes, determined to address the situation head-on. She knew that this conversation would be crucial in determining the future of the cultural transformation she had worked so hard to achieve. The following day, Tara met with Dr. Hughes in his office. The atmosphere was tense as they began their discussion. Dr. Hughes, though aware of the recent issues, maintained a defensive posture. Dr. Hughes, Tara started, I've received feedback about your recent interactions with the new staff members. It's been reported that your comments during the staff meeting were particularly harsh and discouraging. I want to understand your perspective and discuss how we can address this issue. Dr. Hughes' expression hardened. Dr. Lawson, I'm just trying to ensure that everyone meets the high standards we have here. If the new nurses are struggling, it's my responsibility to point out their shortcomings. I don't see why this is such a problem. Tara remained composed. Providing constructive feedback is important, but it needs to be done in a way that fosters growth and encourages improvement. Public criticism can have a detrimental effect on morale and can create a hostile work environment. We need to find a balance between maintaining high standards and supporting our staff. Dr. Hughes' frustration was evident. I'm under a lot of pressure to deliver results. I can't afford to coddle the staff or sugarcoat things. They need to understand the seriousness of their roles. Tara took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. I understand that there is pressure to perform, but it's crucial to address these issues with empathy and respect. We need to create an environment where everyone feels valued and motivated to improve. We can't afford to ignore the impact of our words and actions on others. The conversation was challenging, and Tara could sense Dr. Hughes' resistance to change. However, she remained committed to providing guidance and support. She suggested that they work together on developing more effective ways to deliver feedback and to focus on building a supportive environment for new staff members. In the days that followed, Tara organized a series of workshops specifically designed to address communication and feedback. She invited external experts to lead the sessions, emphasizing the importance of respectful and constructive interactions. The workshops included role-playing exercises and case studies, allowing staff to practice delivering feedback in a supportive manner. The response to the workshops was positive. Many staff members, including Dr. Hughes, participated actively and expressed a willingness to improve their communication skills. Tara hoped that these sessions would lead to a more respectful and supportive environment, but she knew that change would take time. One afternoon, Tara was approached by Susan, a senior nurse who had been with the hospital for many years. Susan had been a vocal advocate for improving staff relations and was instrumental in providing feedback to Tara. Dr. Lawson, Susan said, "I wanted to talk to you about the recent workshops. They've been helpful, but I think we need to address the root of the issue as well. Dr. Hughes' attitude isn't just about communication, it's about his overall approach to leadership." Tara nodded, acknowledging Susan's perspective. "You're right, Susan. Leadership involves more than just communication skills. It's about creating a culture where everyone feels respected and supported. We need to continue working on changing the overall approach and fostering a more inclusive environment." Susan agreed. "I've noticed that there's still some underlying tension. It's important that we address these issues comprehensively and make sure that the changes we're implementing are sustainable." Tara appreciated Susan's insight and decided to take a more proactive approach. She initiated a series of one-on-one meetings with staff members to gather additional feedback and to identify any remaining concerns. The goal was to ensure that everyone felt heard and that their experiences were taken into account. During these meetings, Tara learned about various challenges that staff members were facing. Some expressed frustration with the pace of change, while others felt that certain individuals were not fully embracing the new values. Tara took note of these concerns and committed to addressing them in her ongoing efforts. One evening, as Tara was reviewing the feedback from the recent meetings, she received an unexpected call from Dr. Hughes. He requested a meeting to discuss his role and the feedback he had received. Tara agreed to meet with him the next day. When they met, Dr. Hughes appeared thoughtful and reflective. "Dr. Lawson," he began, "I've been thinking a lot about the recent feedback and the workshops we've had. I realize that I may have been approaching things the wrong way. I want to understand better how I can contribute to the positive changes you're trying to implement." Tara was encouraged by Dr. Hughes' willingness to engage in self-reflection. "I appreciate your openness, Dr. Hughes. Leadership is a continuous journey, and it's important to be open to feedback and to work on improving our approach. Let's discuss specific areas where you can focus on making a positive impact." They spent the next hour discussing strategies for improving Dr. Hughes' leadership style and addressing the concerns that had been raised. Tara provided guidance on how to balance high standards with support and how to create an environment where staff members felt valued. Dr. Hughes agreed to implement the strategies discussed and expressed a commitment to working on his approach. Tara was hopeful that this would mark a turning point in his leadership and contribute to a more positive atmosphere in the hospital. As Tara continued her efforts to transform the hospital's culture, she remained focused on the long-term goals. The process of change was ongoing, and there were still challenges to overcome. However, Tara was encouraged by the progress made and by the growing willingness of staff members to embrace the new values. The hospital was becoming a place where respect, collaboration, and support were integral to the daily interactions among staff members. Tara's commitment to fostering a positive environment was making a tangible difference, and she was determined to continue driving change. With each step forward, Tara was building a legacy of excellence and inclusivity. The journey was far from complete, but she was confident that the efforts she had invested were paving the way for a brighter future for the hospital and its staff.